Okay, I promise to you, this is gonna be a really, really short video. Okay. Um, like really, really, really short. Probably my shortest video to date. Um, okay. So little tiny tips about Arcanist that I think would help out, quite a few people. Um, Number one, first thing that comes to mind is Deadly Cloak versus Quick Cloak. Obviously, like on the dummy, you're gonna see every single parse in the world is gonna be using Deadly Cloak. And that's right. Deadly Cloak will do more damage on the dummy. But in content, Quick Cloak is better for various reasons. I like there's quite a few. It like, you can pre-buff with it longer, right? So let's say you're doing a really short bursty fight that only lasts like 30 seconds. Um, or hear me out. Let's go with like maybe 40 seconds. 40-second fight. Um, you're not gonna be recasting Deadly Cloak twice. Like you would rather not recast Deadly Cloak twice to fit in that full 40 seconds. You could have Quick Cloak for 30 seconds and have pre-buff it like right before the fight, and then bam, you don't have to cast it at all during the fight. So that means basically the idea of that, like to dumb it down, is you get more time to beam and do other more powerful damaging abilities than worrying about like your Deadly Cloak damage. But true on the dummy. Um, Having it be like a fucking 3 minute something fight, Deadly Cloak will win out. But in content, Quick Cloak better. It'll give you a better AoE parse because you can beam more, and beam will do more AoE. You can pre-buff with it for longer. It's overall just gonna be your better pick. And it gives you speed, so you pop it during an ad pull and you'll move faster. So why not, right? Deadly Cloak doesn't do that. Okay, so there was that. Use Quick Cloak. Next one. If you're doing Xena's empowering disc, um, real quick, okay, uh, this is like a standard parse setup, right? Something like this. So you'd have like your wall fulminating scalding rune scholarship. Your not scholarship. Your scalding rune could be traded out for like caltrops or crux weaver or whatever. This would be like a standard setup, right? Um, so usually what I see is people will drop the scalding rune, but realistically, there's no reason to do that. Um, you don't have to lose out on that or your caltrops or your crux weaver. Um, I would personally just take out the camo. That's what I would do, right? And the reason for that is like it's not really doing much for you on your back bar because like here, I've got a parse real quick um that I can show you. I already have it pulled up. Okay, Nazare. This is like one of the few parses that I actually like have saved on here. So like it was a 1 minute fight. This is Nazare hard mode from Shipwright's Regret. We just full nuked it, burned it. And as you can see, uh, Fate Carver, big, huge damage, like we talked about before, but that's not what we're worried about. What we're worried about is this right here. So bar one, bar two. You can see on bar one that I spent 81.9% of my time on that bar. So my front bar with my flail and my beam. That's where I'm doing my damage at. Um, and I also had 96% of my damage was done while I was on my front bar. Uh, on my back bar, you can see I spent like 20% of my time here. And I did 3.6% damage there. So not a lot, not anything at all that matters. Not really. So the camo hunter, sure, it's gonna buff your back bar, but what are you buffing? You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck are you buffing? One thing I will say, if you're an Azurblight, if you've got Azurblight on the body, camo hunter on the back bar definitely helps out because it's gonna make that Azur proc stronger as far as I'm aware because it scales off of your weapon and spell damage. But especially if you're not an Azur, just take off the camo. If you're gonna put Xenas on, like we talked about, just take off camo, and you'll be fine. Because you don't need that camo on the back bar for a lot of shit. You just bam, this is what your bar would look like. And let's say that you're in boss A hard mode. What else would you drop? Then you would drop this funny skill. Your caltrops, your scalding rune, your crux fever. If you're doing boss A, this is where your rune word would go. So if you're like Xena's arcanist in boss A hard mode, this is exactly. Sorry, I just stuttered like a motherfucker right there. This is what my bar setup would look like in boss A hard mode. This exactly. Like I wouldn't change a goddamn thing about it. You know what I mean? Or well, the double language probably not, but that's just what I got on right now. Yeah. So drop the camo. Drop the camo first. That shit's bad. Another interesting thing you can do there is like this would be like my common oak setup, like just what I would throw on. But what's really stopping you from going and throwing on more damaging abilities, right? Like this. If you're able to do this, like I don't know what fights this would be, but if you're able to put like Crux Weaver and Scalding Rune on, like why not, right? Especially if you're not in Hazard Blight and you're just doing parsing, a big, huge majority of your damage, like 90 something percent of it, is going to be on the front bar. So yeah, I don't know. Just drop the camo. It's not doing too much for you. Okay, so we talked about that. We talked about if you're Xena's, what you put on. Cool. Oh, that's not the right skill. So next up on the list, probably the last one is we're gonna talk about Languid versus Tide King's Gaze. I see this a lot. I see people using Tide King's Gaze. Languid is better. Languid will do more damage. So bam, there you go. Fact number one is that Languid Eye will do more damage than Tide King's Gaze. Okay, cool. So what else? If that wasn't enough for you, what else? People use Tide King's Gaze because they're like, oh, what if I miss? This'll make it so that I don't miss. Blah 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 blah. Well, rule number one, who cares if you miss? Like that was a mistake. Just learn how to not miss later, right? Just like don't play with a failsafe. Don't play with something to help you when you make a mistake. Just learn to not make mistakes. Be better as a player, right? Don't play like shit and then have your skills make up for it, right? Don't think like that. Languid Eye will do more damage, so learn how to play with that. But the other thing, hear me out. Let's say you miss your Languid Eye, right? Bam. Guess what? Bet you didn't know you could do that, bud. You can move your Languid Eye if you miss. Bam. Newsflash. I didn't actually know about this until like a couple weeks ago. I had no idea. Like I've parsed a little bit on my Arcanist. I've missed quite a few languids, and if you notice it in time, then there's your failsafe right there. Languid's already got one, right? Like I got my motherfucker over here. Let's move it over. So, um, there you go. Languid will do more damage, and it will move when you replace it. All you have to do is press the ultimate button, again, looking at a new spot. So that's all for today. I think we covered quite a few things. Thank you. Thank you for watching. See ya.